What's poppin'? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever time zone you're listening from. This is Nessa Baby, your baby girl.
And this is your boy, OD, Dr. Dim, as you already know.
And welcome to
Gisting with the Dims.
And welcome back to our past listeners. We appreciate you for sticking with us. All right, we're rolling into episode 5.
Time flies.
Yes. All right, this gist is going to be very interesting. Something that I feel like a lot of people like to talk about. Money.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The De Niro.
We've been talking about how much money do you really need to be happy?
I need a lot.
I mean, this question it can be different for everybody.
Yeah.
Because it all depends on what exactly is happiness to you.
Well, I mean, money might not necessarily be happiness in the sense that there are other things that people might prioritize. But you know what? Let me let you start.
All right. Well, you want to just first talk about what's the connection between money and happiness?
Okay. So, I mean, some of the good things in life or some of the more interesting or nice things in life can only be afforded if you have the money for it. The money itself might not make you happy, but the effect of what it can do for you would result in you being happy. I can associate money and happiness just because it's kind of a medium that allows you to afford the things that make you actually happy. But it's not always the complete reason for anyone's happiness in itself, because you can have money and lack something else that someone who doesn't have money might have. For example, I can go into like somebody might have money and not have health.
Exactly.
So yes, you can afford Ferrari.
Health is wealth.
Yeah, health is wealth. That saying is not a mistake. That's just facts. So yeah.
Because if you're not healthy, how are you going to enjoy your money? If you're in and out of the hospital for whatever sickness you have, you can't even enjoy them. Let's say you're making $1 billion. How are you really going to enjoy the money, your lifestyle, if you're constantly sick?
But my point is, there are some people that actually sacrifice some part of their well-being for that money because they are okay with whatever the trade is.
Yeah.
So some people will trade some kind of like, maybe they have a kid that will be maybe never really well or deformed for wealth.
That's crazy.
And I mean, don't take my word for it. I don't know that I know anybody that has done this, but I just know that I've heard stories. Not like I believe it anyway.
Yeah.
But it's just something that I
believe it.
Yeah.
So people will sacrifice their own souls.
That's true too.
That's going deep. We're going deep into that.
Yeah, because I mean, it's
serious.
Let's even take a little bit of like a look at like some of the celebrities that you know and love. There is hardly any celebrity that I can point a finger to. There's maybe a handful of them that I can point a finger to that doesn't have something that they're struggling with. Some of them are struggling and they're like keeping it on the wrap so that people don't know. But some of them can't even hide it. Like the other day now, I was combing through some blog and I saw Justin Bieber is going through something now.
Yeah, he's been always going through something. Since he started to get famous and started to get money.
Yeah.
He's always been struggling with...
That's been the story.
He's been struggling with a lot of things. Like, I think he's just himself, knowing himself. But anyway, before we go into that, I wanted to just bring up like a study suggests that happiness increases with income, but only to a certain point. And the amount it says from the studies I've been reading, it all depends on, we're talking about the US because we're in the US, so we can't speak for other countries.
Makes sense.
So in the US, it varies by state, the amount of money, the minimum amount of salary you need to be happy. But I guess the study suggests that the minimum at least $75,000 a year. Yeah.
That must not be New York.
It just says like an average, so between 75K to 100K.
Yeah, I won't lie. That's kind of lean. That's That's the lean happiness, to be honest with you, in many cities today. I mean, I guess that's the average. But
that's the average, yeah. Because you'd be surprised. A lot of people. Like you said, you can live within your means and be satisfied with the amount of money you're making.
That's true.
Like, if you really,
yes, you can
sit down, have a budget, have a plan, and restrict a lot of things, then it's definitely doable.
It's doable, but you see, the thing is,
but the thing is, okay, like you said, are you really happy?
Yeah, you see, one thing is, you have to draw a line between happiness and satisfaction, right? So me personally, I feel if you are not satisfied, you really can't truly be happy, because even money won't buy you everything that you think you want.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to really tap yourself and just remind yourself that you really just need to be satisfied and you be happy with your process and be happy with where you are at any point. And I'm not saying don't strive to be better, but enjoy the process. Because I think some people think that they are running a race. Even I think I was one of those people. You think like you're running a race to get somewhere.
Yeah.
And you forget to enjoy the moments while you are on that journey. Because sometimes that moment in the journey is really, that's the true joy, right?
Exactly.
And you miss all that trying to get to the end. Yep. And the truth is, you can't really genuinely go back through the process. Because it's not like you can just say, you know what, okay, I'll act like I don't have money anymore and then go back and start to try to. It won't work. So you can't be wealthy and truly interact with the poor. That's why sometimes, like, you see how some of these candidates for like presidency or governor positions and stuff, you see how they struggle to kind of like campaign. Let me tell you, you can be in a position of the average person, but if you are not currently living it, you forget. It takes a lot of like grounding in a human being to leave a stage in your life, and then after you leave that stage, you still connect to every struggle of that demographic you left.
Yeah.
It's very hard to do that. Money means two different things when I'm in Nigeria and when I'm here.
Yeah.
And although I will tell you, like, my money will represent happiness in Nigeria.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying about that, because that's with any third world country. Because even, for example, when I travel to Bali, that's in Indonesia, one time, like, you see the difference when it comes to money, how they are so appreciative of, like, when you give them a tip or something, like, they're so appreciative of the little money, because like when you transfer the currency, it's like literally nothing, but they're very appreciative, they're very friendly, very happy in their situation with the amount of money that I feel like it's not even enough to really live how you want, like, comfortably.
And that's where that whole point goes back in full circle to that my initial point, which there has to be a point where you're satisfied.
Yeah.
Your satisfaction is truly what guarantees you happiness.
That's true. I agree with that. Well, also, I want to talk about how financial stress and financial freedom, the difference, how money and mental health can play parts, can have a relationship together. How money impacts, like, because maybe if you have more money, you have anxiety, depressed, because, like, when we hear about different millionaires or rappers or artists that have a lot of money, but they're depressed, they overdose on drugs, and we always wonder why. Like, just them having all this money, aren't they happy?
Yeah.
And like, so it doesn't make any sense. Like I feel like most of the time the reason why they're not happy is because they probably surround themselves around the wrong people. The people that are around them are just with them because of their money. Either they met them when they probably wasn't with them when they were like struggling and they have money.
Yep.
They were just like being friends with them when they're up on the coming. So they're not really genuine.
Yeah.
And also maybe they can't have peace of mind because they feel like they always gotta make more money to take care of people in the community, people that that are counting on them.
I 100% agree. Like you hit the nail on the head. I mean, once you are wealthy, I kind of mentioned it in the beginning to be honest, there really isn't a meeting point between the wealthy person and the poor person. And the reason why I say that is because it's kind of like a gap immediately shows up. And that gap, you just can't control it. Because as a wealthy person, you are scared, even if you truly want to genuinely interact with people that are not in your class, you can't do it just because of trying to protect self or preserve self.
Yeah.
Right? So that is the reason why, like, people who are very wealthy, like, they live a very limited life. That's why sometimes when you see all these artists and you see them passing around one of the maybe the hottest female that is in the industry at the moment, the reason why they're doing that and they're passing around, like the other day I watched some blog or video of, like, I forget what it was. It wasn't J-Lo or so, and they were just was it Amber Rose? I think the two of them, they did for both of them. And if you like see,
J-Lo,
if you've seen the number of
the same people in the same industry that passed around
every 2 years or 1 year, they are changing to another one. Literally, they're only taking on the name of relationship just because, like, social media is going to carry it anyway, and they don't want it to be a scandal. So they just are literally trying to be in a relationship so that they can just take advantage of their circle. Every once in a while, you see some that actually end up, marrying for a while, but many of them are not interested in that level of commitment.
Yeah.
But the thing is, also, they can't afford to relate with people who are outside, because if they could step down and go and, like, just meet a random regular girl or guy who is good looking or nice looking but doesn't necessarily have their type of money, they know the kind of risk they're about to take. I mean, some of even the soccer players, they suffer that one a lot. Like, soccer players, they're in this place where they have money, but they are not necessarily seen as, like, really the type of wealthy, like, even to be honest, even like basketball players, they're not even seen in that way, or football players.
They're not seen like wealthy, like all these tech billionaires.
I also that also in those classes too. So they're not seen in that category. They're kind of seen as just like, so a lot of them still go and, like, have relationships with regular people, and a lot of them get beaten based on, like, they just want, the woman just want, or the guy wants to take you for your money. My point of giving that example is, like, that's why you see less celebrities trying to go out of that pool, because they won't be safe, and their investments and their also will not be safe. So they have to stay in that small circle, and that is where now the depression and all those things come, because you are forced to be in this tiny circle. It's almost like you're in prison. You have all this money, you have all this access, and you really can't even use it. Like, if you're wealthy, you're always a target, and that makes you more worried, more stressed. So that's why when you see wealthy people, it almost feels like they're wicked.
But what about the wealthy people they're greedy? That's another question. Like, I think about, like, okay, you have all this wealth, but you're still not happy because you're stealing more money. That's greediness. Like, doesn't mean that you're not happy because you still want more money.
If you make money,
so what number is gonna make you happy?
Exactly.
At the end of the day.
No, so that if you make money your yardstick for happiness, you will never have.
Unless they own money. Most wealthy people, they own money too.
If you are truly happy, money should not be the reason why.
That's true.
Like, if you have enough money that gets you the basics, you can get yourself a house. You can actually afford a roof above your head. It includes whether you are tenanting or you are, like, living or sharing a room with a friend, but you have a way to put a roof over your head. You can feed yourself. You can clothe yourself.
That's true happiness.
You are not
satisfaction.
You are not dependent on people to do your day-to-day that will keep you existing. You don't need anybody to facilitate that for you. You can facilitate that by yourself. Then now, when you now start talking about being wealthy, that's enough. What I just described before should be enough for everybody to be happy. But now there's extras that you can get by being a little wealthy, which is maybe now, rather than buy a small TV, you can buy a 100-inch plus screen and put it in a place, or even just have a whole room that is a cinema in your house, and your house is probably like 5,000 square foot, 5-6 rooms with 10-car garage. That is a different level. Like, you are now adding luxuries which make you feel more comfortable and feel more like you have achieved something in life. It makes you just feel a little better about yourself and makes life easier for you.
Yeah. Or you're doing that because you feel like you have something to prove. Well, that goes into the next thing I wanted to talk about was the illusions of wealth, specifically social media, the social media effect. How, like, Instagram, TikTok, we talked about this a little bit on a social media episode, but we want to talk more about like how Instagram and TikTok influences how they create unrealistic financial expectations from what they post, showing so much wealth, whether it's so much cars, big houses, hopping on jets or hopping on first class to wherever.
Yeah.
You know, all the designer, luxury, aesthetic pleasing photos. You know, are people actually rich or just looking rich?
Two possibilities. One is they're actually rich people that have money, that are actually living life.
Oh yeah.
But they are probably less than 1% of the population.
Yeah, that's true. Like there are some people out there, especially some of these influencers, they are showcasing like they're living the life.
Yeah.
But actually, they can't even pay their freaking rent or mortgage.
Like
they're renting cars. They're posting online.
I've met people like that. That live a life of like
unrealistic.
I think like they've been faking it for so long now. It doesn't seem like they will really ever make it because they focus so much on the faking that it doesn't seem like they work enough to actually make it real. I don't know how to explain it, but that's the best way I could describe it. Like they spend so much time on the fakeness that the fakeness is a job on its own.
Yeah.
And it's not like they're trying to make any of that into like a reality in their existence. I also understand there's some of just trying to make it like, you know, so that people don't really never see them less than what they think they want people to see them as. To be honest with you, genuinely, if you really have it, you don't have the time to be showing people like because you have other things to deal with. You know, it will show by nature. Some people want
like,
to
man,
make sure.
I must flex on my haters.
But let me tell you something.
I must show them.
So it's interesting that you say that,
right.
But also I think how people flex here in the United States, it is different from how people flex in Nigeria.
Oh, yes.
Because the way you see people that have money here, and like I mean genuine people that have money, not fake, so the genuine ones, they are a little simple, or they just don't know how to look good. Maybe they are just don't know, maybe they are nerds. But in Nigeria, if a wealthy man steps out, you would know he stepped out.
Oh yes, sir.
Everything will show on his body. Richard Mille will be on his hand. You guarantee like the most expensive of expensive will be Christian Louboutin shoe. Drip from head to toe. Here it might not, and that's why I say like that's where I used to be.
No, but here too,
that's why
people do it too. Especially us black people, like Black Americans or us black and brown, they do it.
I also have a feeling like a lot of times when I see Africans or blacks that have money, I think they almost always want to make a show of it.
Yeah, they do.
It's almost like they want to make a statement that we are here.
Yeah, we have arrived.
And I'm not saying that to kind of knock on them, but like I feel like it's just an attitude I've observed more frequently with them than I found it with other races.
Yeah.
And some of them might not be really doing as much as well as you think, but in their head.
I think maybe it stems from most of them from like probably from where they came from. Maybe they came from growing up in projects, in and out of foster homes, couldn't afford to go to school, afford food. Their parents couldn't afford, dinner or things like that. Maybe so like when they made it, now they have money. They're like, nah, I gotta show out. I have to. Like, you know where I came from, you know where I used to be.
No harm doing that. All I feel is like, as long as you're not stressing yourself, right?
Exactly.
As long as you're not stressing yourself to do it, because I feel
mentally,
yeah, because sometimes like it's like people are borderline. This is where the depression thing comes from, right?
And as long as you're truly happy, you're not just doing it just because of you trying to show out.
Yeah, because I mean, like we hear a lot of times where people end up like taking loans on loans, just to kind of like
stories I have heard. People taking loans to pay for a wedding or like,
man, that one of wedding and rings, that one actually still tomorrow, it blows my mind.
Crazy.
People paying as much as $2,000, $3,000 on car notes.
This is America. This is what happens in America.
$2,000, $3,000
That's how it is.
car notes. And I know that's not probably the highest. Just saying ones that I've seen and heard.
Yeah, it's normal in America. Same way about how people living credit to credit.
And don't get me wrong, this is not someone that's making maybe say 15k or something like that a month. This is somebody that's making 3,000 or 4,000 a month, and then probably still staying in his parents' house or chilling with his girlfriend, still not paying rent. Now I'm saying, like, if you can escape things like that in life, if you have ways to escape it, I'm not mad at you. But still, that doesn't make the expense a useful and an intelligent expense.
At all.
It doesn't make it. You might have ways to kind of like evade other things or other costs that makes it look like, okay, well, I have the flexibility financially to do it. But still does not make the fact that you took 3,000 and you pay that monthly on a car that in the next 3 to 4 years the new one will come out.
And that same car, they're using it to do Uber to pay off it too.
Is that not even the worst thing ever? When you have a car, like in Nigeria, there are certain cars people have that car, the only person that sits down in it is the owner. That they don't give lift with the car. They have cars for knock around. That is how some of the people in our own place will. But here, right?
Yeah.
People are now using a car you bought that you like, but because it's too expensive for you, you have to outsource. Because now at this point, when you are taking somebody on an Uber ride, you are basically outsourcing your payment to a third party. So you take some rides to offset some of your costs.
Yeah.
When this is a car that was supposed to be your pride, that you were
also
supposed
people
to
rent it out
experience.
on what's that, Toro? Yeah.
Well, however you decide to rent it out, Turo or whatever else, even if you want to put it on whatever. How did you make what you purchased as an experience for you alone to enjoy?
Yeah.
Now it's not becoming public.
Exactly. So like I feel like spending money on material things, it doesn't bring long-term joy. It really doesn't, because at the end of the day, those materialistic things are not meaningful.
I can actually make an argument that even in today's market, having a house is not more an asset as much.
Oh yeah, it's not. Especially now.
Yes.
With the way the economy is.
Because I think the last generation of people that have enjoyed the real estate market, they are just selling now. All those people that bought in like the 1990s. My point is, all those boomers that are selling now, they're selling their houses and stuff. They are the last people to make real money and enjoy the money of the real estate market.
Oh yes.
Because most people who are buying houses now are sitting on egg. Like if you bought a house this maybe 2024, 2025, they are sitting on egg, or you are sitting on like magma. You are sitting on like a volcano that one day will just erupt. Like there is no reason for such escalation in pricing, because you can literally buy a whole new house. In short, you can build a whole new house for yourself easily with some of the money that people will be calling for. There is no benefit really at this point. There is really no benefit of buying a house. Your mortgage now for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath can never be anything less than 4,000, 4,500. Many houses, and it's just ridiculous. But anyway, that's a subject for a different day. But my point is just to say that what people might consider in terms of like the things we call assets, or we used to call assets, are really assets anymore, and it's slowly changing, and we need to adapt, because asset is changing to something else and people are not realizing it.
Are we overworking ourselves for no reason, right? Specifically now with this whole rat race of working 10 to 5 jobs most Americans do, just so that we can be happy because of money.
Are stressed.
The push between grinding versus finding a balance,
I mean, that's why I love the Gen Zs, to be honest, because they, I think, are well equipped for where we are heading, right? I think they are really well equipped. We need to catch up.
Yeah, they're more willing to be like, I value my mental health, okay?
Yes.
You're not about to stress me out.
Nope.
For how much you're paying me, I don't care. I will take
Gen Z wants to work.
I want to live a simple life. I want to be happy. And even though they wouldn't mind taking a job that pays less, just so that if it has the perks of them just being able to be free to come in whenever they want to, be remote, flexibility. They're like, yeah, I'm fine with that.
See, Gen Z wants to work only for an hour max in a day. and still get paid what people who work the full 8 hours will work. Gen Z have no time for pain and stress.
They don't want no stress.
I
don't blame them with that, honestly. I agree with that. At this point in my life, I don't want stress. Like I'm more focused on my family. I'm a family woman now, so I'm more focused on my family, and I have my own goals too. But like, I'd rather leave a high stressful paying job for a less paying job that provides me a simpler and makes me happy, live a happier life, and makes my mental health perfect. Like,
okay, yeah. I mean, I agree with you on that one, though.
But for majority of Americans, I don't know. I think it all depends on the people's situation. Honestly, when it comes to the difference between the whole finding the balance between grinding and hustling. I believe money matters, but it doesn't really buy happiness.
Yeah.
It depends. Like, honestly, health is wealth. If you're healthy, then you're happy. Like, that matters more than money, honestly.
Yep.
That's for me. True happiness comes with financial security.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like, and personal fulfillment.
Yeah. If money is going to make you happy, and if that's your own prerogative, I don't go chase that money, go make your money.
Well, yeah, of course. I'm not saying that money doesn't make you happy.
I just feel
it's not everything. That's what
I'm just saying, like I just want to live my life to my own terms to some extent, right? Because it's your life. It's not like, that's why I say it's your life. It's not somebody else's life. I can't live and be chasing my tail. Like, sometimes you have to stop and check and look at what else do I want to do for myself. Like, don't be driven by the money. Be driven by, like, what's your passion.
Exactly.
Like, what's your passion?
What's your purpose?
Like, if you do that and money comes out of it, then perfect.
Yeah.
But if you do it and it's like, just something you enjoy as a hobby or you want to do, then go out and do that, and let money come if it's meant to. If it's not, enjoy what you do. I think that's more of like really being a person existing and like really living.
I just feel like America just makes things harder because of there's so much bills, taxes, all of that. Then you're like, okay, are you really living? Are you just living to just work and make money or chase the money?
You're chasing your tail.
Yeah, or you're not really living. But anyway. That's what it is.
Yep. Just a little story for the day.
America's ghetto.
You said it on the last. But anyway, with that, I think we're done with this episode.
Yes, well, we want to ask you listeners, what's your personal happiness number if you have one? And what makes that your personal, why is that your happiness number? Do you think money buys happiness? We want to hear from you. We're going to leave a poll again. Also, besides the poll, we want to hear from you about your thoughts about this specific topic about money and happiness.
Nice. Well.
All right. So, once again, we're on our socials, Instagram, TikTok, Gisting with the Dims.
Yeah, you can also reach us directly on the email.
On the email, you can email us if you have any comments also about this topic or other topics, other things you want to discuss about at thedims2021@gmail.com. Make sure you interact with us on the socials.
All right, guys.
Till next time.
It's been Gisting with the Dims. Yo. Yes, sir.